We all know that the Republican Party is the party of hypocrisy. People say that they're pro-life, and then they cut Medicaid by $1 trillion. They say they're pro-free speech. Well, Donald Trump is quite literally trying to sue every news outlet in America as a form of intimidation. And of course, they're also pro-police and back the blue, but pardon 1,500 violent January 6th insurrectionists who not only are violent criminals, of course, but are repeat offenders now after just getting out of prison. This is one of the darkest moments of the Trump presidency that it seems like we have forgotten about already because so much has happened. But someone unwilling to forget is Congressman Eric Swalwell, who called out all of the hypocrisy of MAGA and really called out Jim Jordan, who was in this hearing with him for supporting it, in a takedown that we are going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now let's hear from Congressman Eric Swalwell.
Matthew Huddle. I want you to think about the name Matthew Huddle. Just last month, after being pardoned by Donald Trump for his conduct on January 6th, where he had picked up, racked up, was arrested for 4 separate cases after January 6th, this guy tries to pull a gun on a police officer in Indiana. Thank God the officer is alive and defended himself, and Mr. Huddle is not. But what do you think was going through the mind of Mr. Huddle as he was pulled over by a police officer? What do you think he was thinking? He was thinking, I got pardoned. I'm invincible. You can't touch me. The president said that if I commit violence or I'm with people who commit violence, it's okay. So he tried to shoot a cop. That cop almost didn't go home that day because Mr. Huddle was on the streets. So what this amendment is saying is, shouldn't we track the people who were released? 1,500 people, many of them who committed violent acts, many of them who have since been arrested for child pornography. One of them was arrested at the Capitol just a couple days ago. And you know what? If you want to compare to the gentleman from Wisconsin, the Biden pardons to the Trump pardons, I'll put those lists next to each other and see who reoffends. I'll take that bet. I'm going to bet, and I'll bet it all, that you're going to see more of the Trump pardons back in custody because of this sense of invincibility that the president has bestowed upon them. And by the way, the Department of Justice also just said, just this week, that one of the January 6 individuals whose home was searched and explosives and weapons were found, that he can't be charged with those because they're connected essentially as fruit of the poisonous tree of what was done for January 6. So this is a pardon that goes beyond just what they did on that day. We have allowed the most dangerous people who attacked our Capitol back into our community. By the way, a man who would release 1,500 of the most dangerous people who committed crimes on his behalf will also seek to lock up 1,500 of his most vocal opponents. That's the kind of mindset somebody like that has. But I just want to ask my colleagues, because many of you were with us on the floor on January 6th. I see many of you over there who were. Many of you ran as we were told to leave the floor, and we listened to the instructions of the Capitol Police who were in the chamber, and you heard the on the door outside, and we didn't know what the hell was out there. We saw the chairs stacked up in the press gallery. And we finally were allowed to leave. Some of us had gas masks on. Some of us were carrying the gas mask. I remember Ruben Gallego telling all of us, because we didn't know what the hell to do with the gas mask, how to put it on because he had served in theater. I saw heroic members on your side who had served in theater pushing a desk against the back doors of the chamber. We were all one team that day. We were Team America, and we knew what team the rioters were on. And when we got to that safe location, and in the hours after when we went back to the floor, you thanked the Capitol Police. We thanked the Capitol Police because we knew what they did that day. And now imagine how they feel when they have to stand guard, as they did last week, for a Proud Boys rally that was on the same grounds where those same Proud Boys viciously and violently attacked them. So the very least we could do together as we thank them that day is to tell them, we're going to track the people who were released. We still think you're heroes. We still think that what you did that day is probably the bravest thing you'll ever do in your life and probably one of the bravest acts any of us will ever be a part of and witness to. That's what this amendment seeks to do. I hope we all can pass this amendment, and I hope we can all look the Capitol Police in the eyes when we leave today and go to the floor and know that we still have their back. And I yield back.
Hypocrisy is really the point for MAGA. They want to, and specifically Donald Trump wants to, remove any sort of grounding principle in a person, make them completely shameless, make them embrace every most extreme element of MAGA, so they have to be fully bought in. If they are fully bought in on everything, if they never make any concessions, then they're in the cult. They have to stick by Donald Trump's side. There is no breaking. The more he can get them to give up, the more powerful he is over them. So that's really what all of this is about. Their inability to oppose anything he does just strengthens his control over them. And we know MAGA is quite susceptible to bullying, always coming from Donald Trump. But a new development that could potentially see things change is the bullying coming from their constituents. I wouldn't call it bullying. I'd call it rightfully calling them out. The brutal boos raining down in every town hall might shame Republicans enough the other way, but they actually might start not doing any good, but maybe doing less bad and opposing Donald Trump just a little bit. It's not going to be because they have a spine, of course. It's because hopefully they become more afraid of their constituents and them using their voices. Why it is so important that we take this agency we still do have to use our voices and apply the pressure on MAGA, even while they try to shut us down, while Donald Trump tries to intimidate journalists, and while members of the MAGA majority in the House literally try to silence their colleagues. And we saw some of that from Jared Moskowitz, him calling that out right here.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your work on free speech and weaponization, but I would tell you that you should probably talk to some of your members who are in charge of other committees so that we can continue decorum and some norms here that people, when the rules allow you to waive on to a committee, that those waivers are approved. I yield back.
Would the gentleman yield?
I would.
There were two members, two former chairmen of Oversight, and I can say with certainty, neither one of us ever failed to respect that ability to waive on. You know, it's a tumultuous committee, but it's one that always supported that, and I apologize for what you experienced personally, because
well, I didn't go through any trauma, but I appreciate it. I mean, look, I have no doubt that, you know, maybe Chairman Comer ran into her office and was like, "Don't put Moskowitz on." But at the end of the day, I bring it up here because I'm asking you to talk to your colleagues. I don't think any members want a tradition where a committee allows. This committee doesn't allow waivers, right? But where a committee does allow waivers, we should continue that tradition.
The Free Speech Party, ladies and gentlemen, trying to silence their colleagues for disagreeing with them. Has it not gotten so embarrassing to be a MAGA Republican? I don't know. I guess that would have happened years ago. But this is what you see from this movement. It is constant contradiction. You know, I saw a post from this MAGA influencer talking about how, I voted for this. I voted for the Gulf of America. I voted for, you know, attacks on trans people. I voted for Doge and Elon, you know, pushing back against the rightful sentiment of the majority of Americans saying, we didn't vote for this. This is not what we wanted. But why I bring this up is because they then went on to say, I love Doge so much, I think Congress should pass a Doge Act, cutting all the waste that Doge finds. And I found it funny, because MAGA is stupid, of course, Because, like, yes, if Congress finds funds being misappropriated, they should work to eliminate that waste, fraud, and abuse. But that is antithetical to what Doge is doing. Doge is acting independent of the proper channels to actually find reform in our government. It would be okay if that is the way they took it through Congress. But they're not doing that. These people are not smart, and even the people who support it don't understand how dumb they are being, and don't understand the laws being broken to accomplish these ends. And sure, they want to go on social media and say they love these things. But planes crashing, seriously, the elimination of the FAA agents, firing them, you love that? That's what you voted for? Saw a great clip of AOC. She was asked in an interview, don't we want a president who shakes things up in Washington? Always got to shake it up. Love shaking things up. Need an outsider. And, AOC, an outsider herself, said, yeah, sure, people love that sentiment, but why do we have to shake up the FAA, the FDA, Medicaid? We have to shake up, funding for nursing homes and rural hospitals? How about no? Maybe we don't shake that up. Maybe we don't shake up the U.S.'s standing in the world, like Jasmine Crockett had to say right here.
It is time for us to say, Mr. President, guess what? Russia invaded Ukraine. Can we at least agree on that one? Facts matter. Y'all, this is literally potentially putting us into an international crisis. We may be heading towards the next world war because we have a president that wants to pal around with Putin and wants to do everything to make him feel good, including lying about who invaded who. Mr. Chair, I got a minute left, but I really want to yield to any of my colleagues and ask them if they will say today, very basically, that when it came down to the war in Ukraine, that it was not Ukraine that invaded Russia, it was the other way around. Is there anybody in here that has enough courage to say that Russia invaded Ukraine?
You can have my time.
And this is yet the problem.
Again, these people are embarrassments to themselves. And they want to stay silent on issues that are tough for them to talk about. Oh, it's so tough. And they want to silence us. That is what MAGA is all about. And we got to call it out every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.